Glory be to God, all glory, praise, and top Father, heaven in Jesus' name. So right now, I'm about to tell y'all the story of the time that I got expelled from high school. So this is gonna be a story time. I feel like this is gonna help free me, and it's gonna help free somebody as well. So what I want you to know is that no matter what you go through, that God is always there. Psalm 119 verse 71 says, "It is good to have benefit that man that stature." So it's good that you went through the things you went through in your life, because without going through those trials and tribulations, you wouldn't be who you are today. So you had to go through times where it seemed like it was no way through and no way out, because God always made a way out of no way. He made a way where you do not see a way. The word of God, light on top, feet and lamp to our path. See, the light in you brings out the demons and people, and that's okay. Right? And things don't happen to us, instead they happen for us. In Romans 8:28, it says, "All things work together for the good of the Lord that are called according to his purpose." And Isaiah 54:17, it says, "No weapon that's formed against thee shall prosper. And any tongue that shall rise to tongue in judgment, that shall be condemned." In Jesus' name. All right, so I'm about to get into the story sometime that I was expelled from high school. Okay, so boom, I'm gonna give you a little backstory of before I had got into high school. So backstory, so my parents were going through a divorce, which if you was somebody that was a child that went through parents that got divorced, where they decided, okay, the best thing for us is to go our separate ways. You know, it's not always easy as a child, because you don't always understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So anyway, so my parents had got divorced, so it was me, my mom, my brother. So I have a brother that's about the same age as me. He's just a year younger than me, right? So anyway, my parents ended up separated, and me and my mom, my brother, we ended up moving to a place that was far away, that we were all unfamiliar with, for real, but it was the best thing for us. You know, my mom always tried to do what was best for her children, right? So anyway, we went to this place, and so I had to go to a different school around people that I never had been around for, things that I never experienced before. It was all new to me, right? And so because I was so different, I went through a lot of being bullied by a lot of the young girls that were around me. But to this day, I forgive them. You know what I mean? I had to go through that in order to learn who I was, to set boundaries, to draw the lines for myself, and to get a better understanding of the environment and the change that was occurring in my life at that time, right? So the girls didn't understand me either. So, you know, I would have them gang up on me. Like, I would get on the bus, they would push me out of my seat, just like a lot of things for no reason. They wouldn't just physically abuse me, like jumping me, punching me, pushing me, stuff like that. They wouldn't just physically abuse me. They would also abuse me mentally and verbally, and which affected me emotionally and mentally and physically and things of that manner, because verbal abuse affected me physically. You know what I mean? Words do hurt and can hurt a person, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. But anyway, so I was talked about my looks, my weight, and how I talked, and just everything that I did was pretty much criticized. So I went through a lot. And yes, I did reach out to my mother. I let her know, and she only did what she could do, which I appreciate. I reached out to staff, as well as like principals, counselors, things of that manner, and none of it worked. Nobody really was able to do anything. So I did have to go through that. That's something that God had me go through, so that I could learn who I was again, and to set boundaries and draw the line for myself. So going through that in junior high, right before high school, when I was living in this new place, going through that right before high school, I said, well, okay, when I get to high school, I know it's going to be even more people I'm around. It's a whole nother world. I knew that I was entering into a bigger transition than I had went through in elementary, junior high, you know what I mean, pre-K, you know. So anyway, because I knew I was going to transition, I had told myself that I would never go through this again, that I would not allow this again, ever. So I have to be a big girl. I got to stand up for myself. I got to defend myself. I have to learn how to navigate through life. I have to use my God-given beliefs so I don't lose them. I have to use my wisdom how to use knowledge. I have to know who I am, right? So, of course, I was still finding myself. But when you're young, you think you know everything and stuff like that. So when I got to high school, I had ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd. I had ended up befriending a lot of upperclassmen, you know what I mean? And I thought that these were my friends at the time, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to be accepted, I wanted to be cool. So I wasn't going through what I had went through in the past when I had just got to high school. I wasn't going through the bullying, the being talked about, being pushed around, punched around, stuff like that, right? Because I had changed completely who I was. Like, it was a whole new me, because I was around a whole bunch of more people in a whole new environment, and I was older now, right? And I was with a lot of older children. I mean, not children, well, teenagers as well. So anyway, me befriending those upperclassmen, I'm not gonna say it was a mistake, because God took me through that for a reason, but when I look back, I should have, stayed out the way and stayed more to myself, but that's okay. It had to happen. So I thought that these were my friends, and so I started being around them more and more. I started to get into a lot of activities and things that pretty much didn't serve me. For the first time around these people, I did a lot of things to try to impress these people and to be cool and to be accepted, right? So anyway, one day I got to school. I had one friend that was a freshman like me, and so I really thought that this was my friend as well. But anyway, so these upperclassmen had called me to their locker one day. It was 3 of them. They had called me to their locker one day, and they had given me a substance that was wrapped up in a tissue. And because I wanted to be cool and accepted, I didn't even ask what it was. And they was like, give it to your friend that was a freshman like me. So I took it and I distributed it to her, and I told her, oh, so-and-so told me to give you this. And I didn't think much about it. I was cool, right? I didn't think much about what I was doing. I didn't know that I was putting myself in a situation to put myself in a predicament to be guilty by association. Because what a lot of us don't recognize is, in today's world, in the real world, you know what I mean? In reality, what we don't recognize is when you commit the crime, you do the time. But also, you don't have to commit the crime to do the time, because if you're there, you're guilty by association. Like if you're a lookout or if you're a getaway driver, you're guilty by association. You could get potentially more time than the person that actually committed the crime just for being there, right? Literally, just for being there. So at the time, I did not know that. Well, or maybe, really, I did not know that. Let's be real. I did not know that. And I didn't think about what I was doing. You got to learn to think things through. So that's what I had to learn. Okay, you need to know you're guilty by association, and you have to think things, so you have to use your brain. I wasn't. So anyway, I took the substance that was wrapped up in the tissue, and I had given it to my friend, and I had a class with her, and we was cool. So 2 more periods went by. We had another class together, right? So in this class period, I just knew something was wrong, because my friend, her eyes started rolling around in the back of her head, and she just started like leaning and, just couldn't sit up straight at her computer, right? Because this was a computer class that we had together. And so the teacher knew that something was wrong. And so the teacher ended up like evaluating her, and then it ended up calling a security guard. And we knew that when the security guard came, that something was truly wrong, or somebody was really in trouble. So the security came and grabbed her from the classroom. So I'm like, okay, like, oh my God, what did I give her? What is going on? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Why did I take that? I just knew that it was something bad. I knew that whatever substance, at this point, of course, reality kicked in. I knew that whatever substance that I was given by those upperclassmen and gave to her, that she took it, and that she was going to the hospital. She was going to the hospital for sure. And her parents and all that stuff, like, we're going to find out whatever. Anyway, I was more so concerned about what was going to happen to her, right? So I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do nothing for the rest of the day. I couldn't eat lunch. I went home. I was just up. I couldn't sleep. So I went to school the next day. First period, the security guard came and grabbed me. Okay, so everybody was like, ooh, she in trouble. It's something going on. So anyway, they called me to the office. They had asked me what had happened, and I told the complete truth. I told what had happened with the other classmates and stuff like that. And people call it snitching, but whatever. I was so concerned about my friend. I did not care about what had happened to me. I was more so concerned about her because she was in the hospital. They had to tell me that she was in the hospital, right? So anyway, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to feel. So I told what had happened. And I guess those upperclassmen had got called in the same day that my friend had left and got called to the office as well, right? So anyway, my friend, she was in the hospital, and these upperclassmen, they had lied. They completely lied. They said that they didn't know anything, like they don't know nothing, they ain't hear nothing, that it was all me. They had put everything on me. These people that were so-called my friends, they had put everything on me. They had said that I was the one that brought the illegal substances to school, and I was the one that distributed it to her. Whole time I ended up finding out that she wasn't the only one that was a victim of this, that they were distributing it to and doing whatever, doing whatever illegal activity that they were doing at school. So anyway, I had ended up getting suspended from school for 2 weeks. Nothing like this had ever happened to me. I had never been in no trouble this serious in my life. My family, outside of my mother and my brother, had bullied me. They made fun of me. They laughed at me. They talked about me. This was one of the lowest periods of my life. I was depressed. I didn't see a way out. I didn't see a way through. So they said that if I didn't show up to my court date, I ended up having a court date. They said if I didn't show up to my court date, then I would have a warrant for my arrest. They said that if I didn't show up to the hearing, because you had to have a meeting with the school board as well, because this was serious. You had to. My friend ended up getting out the hospital, by the way, a day later, so she was okay. But I had to show up to the court hearing. I had to explain what had happened, everything, and just hopefully that they would let me back into high school. But that didn't happen. They ended up expelling me, and I was crying. I was really messed up. I was really messed up because I didn't know what I had. I didn't know the extent of what I had done until everything had just hit me so fast all at once, right? So anyway, after going through all that, going to alternative school, so you could choose if you want to go to school for morning sessions or afternoon sessions. You will only have to go to school for 4 hours a day. And you was around a whole bunch of kids that just know, cussing the teachers out, throwing computers, throwing desks, fighting each other, fighting the teachers, just metal detectors. You can't have your phone. Some kids will sneak their phone in. You have to wear uniforms because the high school that I went to, the schools that I went to, we didn't have to wear uniforms. But prior to moving to this place that I had moved to, we had to wear uniforms. So, but anyway, my hometown, we didn't have to, because it became my hometown because I stayed there until I graduated high school. But anyway, we didn't have to wear no uniform. But at alternative school, you did have to wear uniforms. So I was in a whole nother world around children that I did not grow up like I'm just like, I don't belong here. And the curriculum, so I was a freshman in high school. So the curriculum was like, I was learning on a level of like a 3rd or 4th grader. And forgot to mention my friend that took the illegal substance. She had ended up going to alternative school with me. So she got expelled as well for her behavior as well. So we were there together and we stayed friends even through that, because she was really the only person that I still knew and the only person that I really still had. And to this day, I still really I don't have no issue with her. I don't have no problem with her. It's just that, we made bad decisions, especially being so young, thinking that these upperclassmen was cool and trying to fit in. And, I don't blame her at all. I don't blame anybody. The only person I could blame is myself to take accountability for my own actions and what I had done, But my friend, she's still located to this day. She's doing well. She's thriving. You know what I mean? So she's okay. She was okay. She's all right. Let's just make that clear. So anyway, we went to alternative school. We were together, we didn't talk to each other for real because we just wanted to get in and get out of there. We did the morning session, so we went for 4 hours in the morning. I could have stayed at the alternative school and I could have graduated from the alternative school because when you graduate in my hometown, when you graduate from the alternative school, you could still walk the stage with your diploma from the high school that you originally got expelled from as though you never went to alternative school. Like, you can get straight A's, you could take the easy route, go to school for 4 hours a day, and literally still walk the stage with your diploma from your regular high school as though you never got expelled. Like, that's crazy, I know, but anyway, so I decided to go back to regular school my sophomore year. It was not for me. It was not for me. I had things that I envisioned for myself, and that's just something I did not envision for myself. But I thank God for going through that and seeing the things I seen and going through the things I went through, because if I did not go through that, it wouldn't allow me to learn who I was and set boundaries and draw the line for myself, and see that I really wasn't nothing like these people, that I was different and that I didn't have to be this and do this and associate myself with people that wasn't for me. I could just stay out the way and still be deemed as cool. You know what I mean? So that taught me to stay out the way. Like, after that, I put my head down. I worked. I became a CNA at 16 years old. I put my head down. I stayed out the way. I was going to work and I was going to school like full time. I had bought my first car. I had joined the basketball team. I did it. I did the thing when I got back to school. So I thank God for that. Like, through all that, I did really well for myself, and I graduated with honors. I did really well for myself. I went to college and everything, you know what I mean? But as far as that, at the time, I thought that my life was over. I thought that, I made the worst decision of my life and that God wouldn't forgive me and that God would never come through and that, like, why God? Like, why would you do this to me, God? But instead of asking why me, I had to ask myself, why not me? And it's good that I've been afflicted. I might learn that statue. That's in Psalm 119, verse 71. So recognize that things will happen to you instead they happen for you. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so the upperclassmen that next year. So I told you I went back to regular school my sophomore, junior, and senior year, right? I told you all the things that I had done, right? So those upperclassmen the next year, all the administration that was there when I had got expelled, the people that had expelled me, the administration that had expelled me my freshman year of high school, none of them worked there when I came back. Not one. Like, they had been working there probably for almost 10 years, some of them 5 years, stuff like that. None of them was there when I came back my sophomore year. As well as those upperclassmen, they had became expelled within that next year, and they just stayed out of alternative school the whole time. They had been expelled because of another instances with illegal substances, distributing them out. They had been expelled, and they couldn't lie this time, you know? So vindication on my behalf, because yes, I did participate, but I unknowingly, I really had pure intentions. I really thought that these were my friends. So you have to learn, and I'm talking to somebody that has to learn that everybody is not for you, that everybody is not your friend, that people will put you in predicaments only if you allow them to, that people don't do it too loud, God can't do it too loud, the enemy can't do it too loud, you can't do it too loud. People will put you in predicaments if you allow them to. It's all about what you allow, and you have to recognize that you got to set boundaries on your line for yourself, because you could be guilty just by association, just for being the lookout for somebody, just for thinking that, oh, you cool, or oh, you want to be so down. You ain't got to be so down. You don't owe nobody nothing unless you got children. You don't owe nobody nothing but yourself and God. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, no matter what is going on, draw near to God and see God. You don't need to have a whole bunch of friends. The people that got the majority of the friends around them, all these friends around them, because I was one of them that used to have all these so-called friends around me. Them don't be real people. Them be the fakest people. Them be the people that you're supposed to stay away from, because guess what? If they got all these people around them, they not able to hear from God clearly and know who they are truly, because guess what? You hanging out with all these different type of people. All these people can't be your type. You know what I mean? All these people can't be for you. You feel me? And a lot of people will take as long as you giving. You got to recognize who you are, and you got to recognize who is around you. Because in 1 Corinthians 15:4-33, it says, bad come to worldly character. That means when you have the wrong people, places, things around you, it will not serve you. It's not going to help you get nowhere. Because when you hit rock bottom, don't place you go from the bottom to the top. Because I also been somebody that's been homeless in my life as well. You know, as I got older, I went homeless and things of that manner. Got into things, been in the streets, done things that I shouldn't have done, right? And it landed me in a predicament in which I was homeless on the streets, you know, didn't have nowhere to sleep, didn't have nowhere to eat, slept in my car, slept outside, literally on the ground, because all I was doing was giving to people that was just taken from me. But where's Waldo when I need it? Where's Waldo when I need the help? You know what I mean? So you got to recognize, like, I was the one giving people the rides, thinking that was cool, doing this, doing that, giving money, just giving out money without thinking about it. Anytime that somebody asks, I'm jumping. But you have to learn how to say, no, you have to learn how to set boundaries for yourself and protect your energy and take care of yourself. And that's something I had to learn, because, like, as long as I was getting people was taken from me, there's no way that you got all these friends and all these people around you. It's no way. Real people only got a few people around them, because your circle really shouldn't even be a circle. It should really be a decimal. It should really be a decimal. You really shouldn't have too many people around you, because having too many people around you, too many people in your business, too many people know what you got going on, that's the way to get messed up, because you could be educating the enemy. Whole time you thinking, oh, this my friend, this my cousin, this, that, the third. But whole time you educating the enemy. Whole time you giving the enemy one up on you, when you supposed to whole time have one up on the enemy. So you got to protect your energy. The way to protect your energy is recognizing you can't have all the people around you. The realest people don't have that many people around them. I guarantee you that, because real is rare, fake is everywhere. Real is rare. Everybody ain't real. Perfect people ain't real, and real people ain't perfect. Everybody ain't real. Everybody ain't on that same mindset. Everybody don't have the same destination as you. When you got a destination to the top, if they not on what you on, they got to go and cut people off without an explanation. Everybody don't need to know that you cut them off. You just move out their way when they start moving funny, and you ask God. See, if you don't know who really, who fake around you, you have to ask God to reveal and confirm to you who's real, who's fake, who's supposed to be around me, you know, who's for me. And when God show their hand, when God show their hand to you, when God show you who they truly are, it's your job to believe them. When somebody shows you who they are the first time, it's your job to believe them. Warning come before destruction. Again, warning come before destruction. God gives you a fair warning before things begin to fall apart. So you always got a warning about what's going on around you, who doing what, who's saying what, who moving like what's going on around you. You always got the game, because God's always putting you up on game. See, in Romans 8:28, it says all things work together for the good of the Lord that are called according to purpose. Romans 8:28. So that means that things will happen to you, so that they happen for you. And if God be for you, then who could be against you? Romans 8:31. If God is for you, who could be against you? If God is for you, he can reveal everything that you need to know and everything that you need to navigate through life around you. You know what I mean? Keep getting wisdom, how to use knowledge. Go on dates with you and God. Draw near to God and speak to God a little more about whatever is going on, because God will always show you signs. It's not the fact that People don't know what they have until it's gone. People know what they have when they have it. They just thought you would never leave. They thought you wasn't strong enough. They thought you wasn't wise enough. They thought that you wouldn't get through the things you went through in your life. And again, those same upperclassmen, you know, we all graduated from high school now. That was years ago. But them same upperclassmen, all of them came back and want to be my friend and want to hang out and this, that, third. And God will allow it because God want to see what you're going to do. And they did. And guess what? I drew the line. I said better for myself. I checked it off. I cut it off. You do what you have to do. You have to learn your lesson. God will allow somebody to do you dirty. Just like I went through in that situation. God will allow somebody to put you in a messed up situation so that you can learn that, okay, this ain't going to never happen again. And I guarantee you, ain't nothing nearly close to that ever happened to me again. Because I would never want to see anybody close to me go through some type of hurt because I'm guilty by association or because I'm not using my brain or because I'm not thinking smart. You know, a smart man can play dumb, but a dumb man can't play smart. You got to think smart. You got to be on your swivel out here. You can't be putting people in predicaments and putting people in situations that's going to have them messed up as well as yourself, because what you do in life don't affect just you. It affects other people as well. So you have to make smart and wise choices. I would never want to see anybody close to me go through anything of that manner again. So guess what? I'm going to think smart. And as well as putting myself in predicaments like that. Because I could have been in jail right now and not been able to talk to you and tell this story. I could have been in a grave. I could have been anywhere but where I am right now today. Because I don't look like what I've been through. And I'm talking to somebody that don't look like what they've been through. Only the people that don't look like what they've been through can feel me. Because you don't look like what you've been through. And the reason that you don't look like what you've been through is that's the power of God. That's the power of the Holy Spirit that's about you. It's in you and not on you. That's why people don't like you. It's in not on you. That's why people don't stop you. It's in you and not on you. Right? In Romans 12:2, it says, be ye not conformed to this world, but instead conformed to your mind. That means when God elevates your life, you got to elevate your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, even financial. You got to get on a different type of time in your life. Like I said, you already too much, so you ain't got to do too much. Tell people don't check for you unless they got to check for you. When somebody can't get right, they got to get left. And when things go left, God going to allow things to go left in order to get you right. And in Jesus' name, you got to move smart. You got to move wise. And the Bible says, move wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. You got to move wise so you keep getting wisdom, which has use knowledge. And the Bible talks about, in the book of Proverbs, it talks about how wisdom is more precious than rubies. Wisdom is more precious than anything you may desire in this life. Wisdom is precious because guess what? That means that you're able to use your God-given ability so you don't lose them. You have a power of discernment. The definition of the word discernment, when you hear somebody say discernment, that means the ability to judge well. When you hear somebody say trust your intuition, or I have an intuition, that means that they're talking about trust your gut feeling. If you feel like something off, recognize people's spirits tell on them. If you feel like something funny, your discernment and your intuition already ticking, it's already telling you, because warning comes before destruction. God always give you a sign before things go left in your life. And God allows things to go left in order to get you right on the right track, get you looking right back to Him. God will put you places alone so that you recognize you don't need anybody but Him. God will put you in predicament so that you can run to Him. Because if you leave out of a situation and all you have is God, you have all you need. People talk behind your back because that's where they belong, is behind your back. The only reason why people talk about you is because they know if they talk about themselves, nobody will listen. The only reason why people try to pull you down is because they already beneath you. In the name of Jesus, people will think that you belong in a low place with them. People will reject about how they feel about themselves onto you because they couldn't do something. Because they couldn't do this, do that, or go here, go there. They will project how they feel about themselves onto you. They will tell you, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's not a good idea. The whole time, that's your dream. Where there's no vision, the people perish. Sometimes people perish from it's like a knowledge. Hosea 4:6, keep your wisdom, which how do you knowledge? Where there was no vision, the people perish. Right? Everybody ain't got a vision they're going after. Many people have sight. Everybody can see. But few have vision. It's not many people going after what God has for them in their mind, body, and spirit. You have to go after what God has for you. Recognize there's no such thing as a perfect time. And if somebody brings up your past, the only thing they're trying to do is discredit your growth, discredit how far you came, discredit where you are today. When somebody brings up your past, recognize instead of looking back and going back, look back and see how far you made it. And do not get offended when somebody brings up your past. Do not get offended when somebody brings up your past. Because when somebody brings up your past, you got to recognize that you are no longer there. The only thing that people are trying to do when they bring up your past is make you feel low and less than about yourself and make you feel like you ain't where you are today. But you have to snap into reality and remember that you are who God says you are, and remember that you are no longer a victim of your past. Because let me slow down because I know I talk a little fast. God does not have to consult your past to give you a future. So keep looking forward. Seek first the kingdom of righteousness, know that all things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:3. That means seek God first and watch your whole life change. Seek God first and watch your whole life expand. For I know plans I have you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm, plans to give you hope in the future. Jeremiah 12:11. God has a plan, enemy has a plot. God reveals and the enemy exposes. It's not always the fact that, oh, they left my life or I left their life. It's the fact that God moved you or God moved them because God seen fit to place you in a better predicament in your life. Like I said, you don't look like what you've been through. So you got to keep going. Like I said, people will project how they feel about themselves onto you. People see your potential, but it's all about, okay, do you see your potential? People know who you are, but it's all about, do you know who you are? You have to know your worth and add tax so people play you for your worth. Focus on you until focus is on you. It costs to pay attention. Key word. Pay attention. It costs. So you got to pay attention to you and your God. Focus on you to focus on you. Know your worth and add text. Because if you don't know your worth, the people play you for your worth. You have to learn how to set boundaries for yourself and draw the line for yourself. God will take you through toxic situations, toxic people, places, things so that you can see, okay, this is what I will and will not tolerate. This is what I will and will not do. Ain't nobody going to do this and ain't nobody going to do that. Because God gotta make you strong too. He gotta strengthen you. Because instead of asking God to give you strength, to give you this, to give you wisdom, to give you that, give you strength, God give me strength, this, that, third, right? Because you be asking that. Instead, you should be asking God. Increase what you already placed on the inside of me. Increase my strength, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and things of that matter. Like I said, instead of always asking, why me? Why me? You need to be asking, why not me? Why can't I handle this? If God allowed something to happen, he allowed it because he knew you could handle it. Like I said, what does the king make you stronger? If he allowed it because he knew you could handle it. You ain't taking on something that you cannot bear. God allowed it because he knew that you could bear. He knew that you could carry that cross. Sometimes we got to pick up our cross, just like Jesus did. Jesus was crucified, but after crucifixion, he was resurrected. And still he rose, and still he shined, just like, still we rise, and still we shine, just like Jesus did on the third day. Right? Jesus got back up, so it's time for you to get back up. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten son. And for those that believe in him, they shall not perish, but they shall have everlasting life. John 3:16. See, your Father in heaven, he resurrected Jesus. He will resurrect you. But you got to get up. See, we all fall down, but it's all about not how we fall. It's about how we get back up. Like I said, when you rock bottom, the only place goes from the bottom to the top. And the only reason I told you that story is because I feel like it's going to help free me, because I went through a lot of trauma in my life, feeling like, oh, this was so horrible. Oh, this happened to me. This, that, third. This was a situation in my life that was so hard for me to tell at one period of time. But I'm going to speak my truth and shame the devil, as you should as well. Because a lot of people out here comfortable living a lie. They're not comfortable living their truth. Speak your truth and shame the devil. Don't allow the enemy to silence you. Don't be silent about the things you went through in your life, because it's going to help free you in your situation. Whatever it is you are going through, you got to recognize that God has already freed you, but you got to free yourself as well. That the attacks of the enemy against your life will not prevail. No weapon that's formed against you shall prosper. Any tongue that shall rise their tongue in judgment against you shall be condemned. Isaiah 54:17. Touch not my anointing to do my purpose no harm. Psalm 105:15. If something happened, God allowed it to happen. What does the key make you stronger? When God allows things to go left, it's to get you right. If somebody can't get right, they got to get left. Set boundaries for yourself. Draw the line for yourself. Don't be ashamed. In the Bible it says, they that worship God must worship him in spirit and in truth. So when you know who you serve, and when you know who you are, who can take what you don't give? In the Bible, in the book of John says, let no man take your joy. Nobody can take what you don't give. That go for your joy, your peace, your happiness, your love, anything, your God, and who you are. You and God are locked in like the plug to the socket. Nobody can break you in God's relationship unless you allow to. People don't do what you allow. God can't do what you allow. The enemy can't do what you allow. You can't do what you allow. That me versus me mentality says, I'm my own biggest enemy. I'm in my own way. Take accountability, because without accountability, there'd be no change. Somebody that cannot take accountability will look at you like you dangerous. Will look at you like you a threat. Will blame you for their struggles. Will blame you because they aren't where they want to be at in their life. You take accountability for what you got going on in your life. Who you around. What you doing. Where you going. Protecting your energy in your own life. With God, through God, and in God, because God is always there. God will never leave nor forsake you, as he has never nor forsake you. In Psalm 118, verse 24, it says, this is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and I will be glad in it. Let go and let God. Cast your burdens up to the Lord because he cares for you. All things are possible with prayer and supplication. Never underestimate the power of your prayers, because you got to recognize it. You got to believe to receive. You got to believe to achieve. In Hebrews 11:1, it says faith is things that we cannot see, and evidence of things hoped for. So that means you got to walk by faith and not by sight. You got to let your faith be stronger than your fears. You got to wipe your tears. You got to keep going. Recognize when you cry, you releasing the pain. So release the pain. Let go and let God. Give it over to God. In Psalm 118, verse 71, it says, it is good that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. It's good. It's good. All things work together for the good of the Lord that are called according to his purpose, Romans 8:28. It never happened to you, sweetheart. It happened for you. I'm talking to somebody that's been viewing their situation wrong. In Jesus' name.